Good day, everybody. I don't mean any disrespect. If it's possible that the demise of the crew, if they are in fact in dire straits or worse, if the crew of the submersible has perished, it may very well have been an anguishing, terrifying death. So I am very sorry for that and wish only for their welfare. What I want to speak to, nevertheless, is the question of these trips. Some people, look at the inequality in society as a fundamental threat against democracy, which I happen to share. I believe there ought to be a limit to income, like a pot that boils over. So a person who makes 100 times what an average worker makes would be making not enough money. Or as Roseanne Barr said, who needs more than $100 million? Now, the question here is, as I understand it, a person pays $250,000 to get into this can, which in this case was made from carbon fiber that had not been properly stress tested, but normally it's a steel or titanium canister, really. It has a small porthole about the size of a washing machine window at the end of the cylinder, so people have to take turns peering into it. And they pay $250,000 to travel to a port, to get on a boat, to go out off the coast of Newfoundland near the end of the continental shelf, to get into this thing, and then for 2.5 hours to be cramped in with other people and to dangerously dive to deep, deep depths to get a look at the Titanic, which we have already seen splendidly in the movie Titanic and in other films, documentary films. So what is it you're seeing through the porthole that you haven't already seen? Even better, with better cinematography. Imagine the vanity. Imagine the vapidity of the life that a person troubles to waste a few days of his precious life to spend $250,000 to get into this canister and to go to depths, to have about 20 minutes or half an hour, the way you have 20 minutes on top of a mountain, if that, which is another thing we could talk about, to look at the bow of the Titanic, which we've already seen, then to come all the way back up. Why don't you just look at a documentary of the Titanic and take that $250,000 and just walk around the streets of New York handing out $100 bills until you've handed out $250,000. The same thing going to space, except you could argue that the view up there is, especially rare. Nevertheless, I wouldn't do it. I hope I wouldn't do it, no matter how much money there was in the world. If you have enough money to wake up every day and have breakfast in a garden and to answer your correspondence and to write some letters and to dress for lunch and meet friends at a fine restaurant and have a nap and then do some other work and then have cocktails at cocktail hour and then go to the theater and then have a liqueur out somewhere and come home and get undressed and shower and go to bed. And there's somebody who's doing the housework for you. And there's somebody who's preparing the breakfast and serving the meals. Why do you need to get into this submersible? Somebody explain it to me, please.